Hey, friends. All right, I've got a serious question for you. When you think about your friendships and the ways that you show up with your friends, are you part of an ensemble cast if this was like a TV series or a movie? Or are you more demanding main characters sort of attention and energy? And then everybody else is relegated to a supporting role. Or maybe somebody in your friend group is that main character or acts like that main character, and then you are relegated to that supporting role. And when you think beyond just that initial group of friends that came up as I mentioned it, how does it change with different friends that you've got and combinations of friends? Are you always in an ensemble situation, or are there times when maybe you're the main character? And what sort of empathy are you giving and receiving in those situations? Um, I noticed all of this with the end of Sex and the City coming, and it really got me thinking, as they would have said in Sex and the City. I just started wondering about how we show up. And so today we're going to unpack what I'm calling your friendship empathy personality archetype. I guess VIPA for short, but I don't think I'm going to use that. And so there's a quiz, and this is not based on Sex and the City or and just like that, even though I'm going to reference it a couple times. You don't have to have any familiarity with this, but I've got a quiz. It's a really quick personality quiz, very easy to do, multiple choices, and take the quiz, and it might just change the way you show up in your own friendships. So, as I mentioned, the Sex and the City reboot continuation series and just like that just came to an end. Um, really, a lot of hate watching from longtime fans of Sex and the City. A lot of disappointment in the season, whatever. People were hate watching it, but they still loved the show and they were sad that it was ending, but wished it was better. All of that. Anyway, throughout the show, both series, Sex and the City and Just Like That, is about friendship. And it's about a core group of friends, in this case, core groups of female friends, and how they interact and support with each other. And as I've been reflecting, because I am sad that the series has come to an end, I grew up, I'm about the same age as the characters, so I related to a lot of the things that the women were going through in the original series as they were dating and trying to come into their own in their late 20s, early 30s. And then even now, with And Just Like That, some of the bigger storylines around grief and loss and kind of midlife crisis and things that were coming up for the characters also very much resonated with me because that's the stage of life that I'm in, and also how your friendships evolve and change and the way that you interact with people. And so that got me thinking about how we're giving and receiving empathy with each other. Do we always show up in the same way? Are we different with different people? Are there times when we're wanting to be more understood and be the center, the Carrie Bradshaw dynamic? Or are there times when we're trying to more actively understand others? Or is there a balance? And so starting to look at all of that, map all of that out, is what led me to developing this friendship empathy personality archetype. Um, and the resulting quiz with a little help from my friend ChatGPT. We had some interesting exploration of that. So, some background on this, and there's a few articles if you want to go further and dig into this that you might find interesting. The first is from the American Psychological Association, and it's looking at the science of friendship and how important friendship is and connection, and how when you have strong friends going through your life and into your older years, you're actually less likely to die young, and you are actually more likely to live a healthier life, which I think is related to not dying young. But it's really important as you go through some really interesting stuff there in that APA article. There's also an article, a piece in Psychology Today about what happens if you take it too far and how much support should you be providing your friends. So recommend that one. And then the third piece is an individual piece, and it's from the Atlantic, and it's the story of the writer moving from the big city to I think it was Bozeman, Montana, in midlife, and she moved for a relationship, but she needed to find the rest of her, core friend group again, and what that experience was like, and how hard it is to actually make friends the older you get. Really great, powerful piece. Really like that. Think you'd enjoy it as well. So check that out. And then when you think about it, and part of what that author in the Atlantic was talking about was, trying to get into existing friend groups, there's all the routines and the patterns. And when you think about how we show up with our friends, and try to support one another, there's a lot of different things that are happening. There's examples of cognitive empathy and emotional empathy, depending on what's going on. And ultimately, these archetypes are actually based on the behavioral expressions of cognitive and emotional empathy. So, cognitive is I see your point of view, and emotional empathy is I feel you. And how you then use those things and express them is what I think is so interesting, because empathy sits at the base of how we communicate, how we support each other, how we build trust and find forgiveness and have compassion, how we collaborate, how we might persuade somebody. So, understanding how empathy is getting utilized is valuable in terms of strengthening your relationships or keeping them strong, and reflecting on yourself. And so, like, as I think about just broad kind of friendship conversations that you might be hearing, you think about like you might be hearing about daily stresses, problems at work, asshole bosses, could be challenges with family, tensions that are existing, drama that's going on. And then you're also supporting and celebrating the wins in life, as well as connecting with content that people are consuming and watching, things of interest, whether that's politics or other societal issues that you probably have in common because that's part of what drew you together as friends. And so empathy is always there. It's always you're understanding the other person, trying to understand their point of view or how they're feeling, and then figuring out how you can step in to support them. And my nose is itching. Someone's coming to visit. Not really, but that's what they say. Um, but the thing is, so okay, you're in these friendship groups. If you think about whatever first friend that came up as I started this topic, now think about a different friend, or a different friend group, or a different combination. We don't use empathy in the same way with every single person. And even if you did choose just one person, every single time or situation or scenario that you've got, it really depends on who you're talking to, what's happening with them in that moment, and also what's happening with you. So don't forget, like if you're in a mood, something's going on in your life, something you've got to get off your chest, that's going to inform how you are showing up for others as well. So I think we've laid the table here. There are 7 different archetypes. I want you to find the link in the notes to take you to the quiz. You can hit pause on this video. I'm not going to go anywhere. The quiz just takes a few minutes. It's multiple choice. There is an open end at the end, in case you feel like I missed something. If there's some sort of a response that wasn't there that you think, yeah, you should include this, because I do want to hear that as we continue to refine this. But take the quiz. You can even share it with some friends as well. But then come back and I'm going to go through the results. So go ahead, go on. I am right here. Hit pause now, and I'll come back. Okay, so welcome back. How was it? I'm going to go through the 7 archetypes, and then give you a little description of them. And then I'm going to share how I typed, the 2 times I've taken it, and we'll talk about that as well. So, this is a personality quiz. This is based on a reflection on how people are showing up and how we might organize and sort them. The way, if you took the quiz, which hopefully you have if you're at this point, the quiz answer, the archetype that you were told, oh, you're this, is based on your answers. Hopefully you had that one friend or one scenario in mind, and whichever answer corresponding to the archetype you had the most. the highest score for. So you might actually have hit answers that corresponded to three or four different archetypes, but the one that it was told that you were in that scenario, you hit the most. You answered, checked it the most. So it doesn't mean that the others aren't there. It just means that this is what was dominant in that situation. And that's good because I think we all fall into these different situations depending on, or different archetypes, depending on which scenario we're in, who we're talking to, what's going on with us. So here we go. The first archetype, first personality archetype is known as the Nourisher. And this is somebody, this is think about if you're the Nourisher, you're the warm hug, you're the emotionally steady person, you're really there for them, you're nurturing the other person. In Sex and the City, this would be the character of Charlotte. But that's how you're showing up as the nourisher. And then there's the strategist. And the strategist is much more practical. That situation, that friend that's just all about fixing it. You may actually get some doses of judgment from that friend as they're trying to get to a place of understanding and they're trying to overcome barriers that they have. But the strategist is the one that's going into those practical fix it sort of situations. Miranda would be that person, and she was a lawyer. It kind of makes sense that the character would show up that way. The third one I call the solicitor. And this is the person that wants to feel felt. They are soliciting empathy from other people. So it's that main character energy, the Carrie Bradshaw. It's more about me. It doesn't mean that I'm not having empathy with you, but ultimately I'm having empathy with you and getting something back in bigger return, or I need you to be paying attention to my issue and my problem more than I am to yours. It's not a bad archetype, but be aware that when you're showing up that way, there may be an imbalance because you're suddenly putting the rest of your friend group or the person you were thinking of in a supporting player role. And that might not be where they want to be. Fourth is the expander. So the expander is the person that really disrupts. They're the chaos agent. They're going to tell you the truth. They're going to support you, but they're also going to encourage you to go further and move ahead. That's the kind of Samantha Jones from Sex and the City energy of like, this just is what it is. Very loyal, very much with you, but is going to push you to go further. The next one, number five, is the echo. And the echo is a mirror emotionally. They're tuned in, but they're really just reflecting back what you're actually picking up. If you're the echo, you're mirroring back what you're picking up from that other person. So that's a situation where you may not necessarily be seen. And then the next one, number six, is the ghost. The ghost is the person who might just disappear, might back off when things are getting a little too real. And that can be because they're not comfortable processing the emotion, handling the situation, want to be too much into leaning into the good times, and not always dealing with or supporting during challenging or bad times. And then next and last is the therapist. And the therapist holds space for everyone, but doesn't get held themselves. So they're there, they are having empathy for the other person, they're supporting them in their actions, they're taking that empathy and being supportive, but they may not be open to or accepting of being held themselves. Now, as I mentioned, a lot of us, most of us are hybrids, but we may default to one under as our kind of default mode, or depending on the person that we're engaging with and what's or the situations. So you want to start to be aware of how you're showing up, what these different archetypes are. I've got them listed down below in the comments, so you can check those out. And the comments and the notes. So you can check those out. You can also go to my website and to the newsletter Reading Between the Lines to learn more. And my nose is itching because Domino's here visiting. So we're just going to keep going. She's almost done, or I'm almost done. So as I mentioned, I took this, I did it twice. Um, and I had two different friends in mind. Okay. I had two different friends in mind. This lady was not one of them, but there were two friends in mind, and the first time I went through it, I was actually really surprised. I came out as the solicitor. I was the one that was doing the main character energy. I was like, ooh. Um, I wasn't totally surprised by that. I was hoping that I came out in a different archetype, but as I think about that friendship, yeah, there it is at times. Wanting it to be more about me, I guess. Yeah. Or I'm looking for more in return. I was having a conversation with someone else who took the took this quiz, and they also typed the solicitor. And so as we were talking about it, there was this, and I was honestly surprised because that's not how I've engaged or experienced this person. But in the scenario that they were thinking of, and with the friend that they were thinking of, they ended up typing as the solicitor. And so as we were talking about it, they realized like, oh yeah, I do actually like do things for other people, or I am supportive for them because I want to hear back positive things. I want to get the validation and the affirmation. And that's the trap that we run into. One of the traps we can run into when we're doing things for people, but ultimately we're looking for the validation. So how can it's nice to be validated, to be appreciated, to be thanked. But what happens if they don't thank you for that? Does that diminish the meaning of the thing that you're giving or gifting? So something to think about. So the I typed the solicitor, and then I also typed thinking about another friend. Both of these friends are people that I've known for a long time. Another friend, and I typed as the therapist, holding space for everybody, but doesn't always get held. And that held up for me. I think there are times, situations where I will just go in and hold space for people, but I'm not necessarily looking um, for it's not that I'm not looking for empathy back, but maybe for whatever reason, the conversation isn't about me. And so my situations aren't even coming up, or I'm not getting, yeah, maybe not getting asked. It's not that I'm not getting asked, but it's kind of just the balance of things. And that's okay. Again, sometimes it's about the situation. There are other times with that friend where I have felt completely held. So then I wouldn't have been in the therapist mode. I probably would have been sometimes in the strategist or the nourisher, I'd like to think. But yeah, it depends. So I'm going to be aware, and something that I've noticed even with the kneecap injury is my own willingness to accept help from other people. And I've had a few situations where I'm getting reminded that it's okay to accept help from other people, and you don't have to be the strong person. So it's really great observations and thoughts that are coming out of this. And I'm going to continue as I work to think about how I'm showing up, and particularly so that I'm not falling into a trap where I'm giving, but not getting anything back. I don't want to be the supporting cast member that plays the role of the therapist and comes in once a week. That doesn't feel good, nor does it feel good to realize that I'm like the solicitor. So I clearly have a little bit of work to do as well. And again, I'm not like distraught over this. I know that I'm also the nourisher. I think I'm definitely the strategist for people. Hopefully, maybe I am helping expand some folks, but it's all about having awareness of it and how we show up and what we can do about it. So there's this 15-question quiz. It's going to help you figure out your friendship, empathy, personality archetype. That link's in the description. Please share it with some other friends as well. It could actually spark an interesting conversation if you were all thinking about each other, or just even sharing like where you typed and did that make sense. Um, it's a really fast quiz. It is weirdly accurate, like I mentioned. And I keep hearing from people like, oh, I thought I was going to be more of a Charlotte, the nourisher. And it turns out that I'm the solicitor. I'm surprised. And that's kind of my situation as well. So, like I said, take it, send it to some friends, compare. This is where the real honesty can begin. Because being a good friend isn't always getting empathy right. It's about caring enough to try differently and to grow. Because when we grow, we're going to stretch beyond that default setting. The strategist is going to learn to soften, the ghost is going to learn how to stay, and the solicitor is going to learn to turn the empathy camera, as you might think, outward and be more supportive. So, what kind of friend are you, really? Let me know. Take the quiz. Let me know in the comments or send me a message. I'd love to know how you typed, what your observations are on this, and any other thoughts. And then stay tuned because this also has me thinking about how this plays out in the workplace and what sort of a workplace colleague we are and the relationships that we have with the people around us at work. So hopefully you'll stick around to take that. Probably have that in a few more weeks. Um, and otherwise, let me know what your thoughts are. Please share this and the newsletter, this video, if you like it. Give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe to follow, and we'll have more soon. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Rob Volpe for this edition of Reading Between the Lines.